rides with the Russians into space. That rocket, the latest example. It's the only way we can get there. And last night, an American astronaut paid $70.6 million for the privilege. Now, American Steve Swanson didn't pay that himself. Of course, we did, like we always do. Russian bounty because space beggars really can't be choosers. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto. And, man, talk about a fall from grace, right? Every time I see these images of Soyuz, I just get sick. The country that conquered space reduced to thumbing rides to get into space. And for the $71 million we're paying, we better not be complaining. The Russians say it's a bargain and post all of these Ukraine tensions. We're damn lucky they're not hiking the bill. Such a deal. I'm told this $71 million is a fixed rate for the next 3 years to cover 6 flights, not 6 round-trip flights, mind you, 6 one-way tickets. That's right. When it is time for Swanson to come home, $71 million, cashier's check made out to the Russian Space Federation for the return trip. What a trip. But we better not bitch, because the Russians are all we've got. And that tin can of a ship they call Soyuz is all they've got. By the way, it ain't much. In fact, it's a piece of crap. Word is it's having problems right now, engine problems. The Russians say they're having a devil of a time adjusting its orbiting path. That's not good. So a rendezvous with the International Space Station that was supposed to take about 6 hours after launch, it's now delayed at least a couple of days. What are they doing in the meantime? Just circling. Talk about a taxi ride from hell. But there are no money-back guarantees here, no discount fares for foul-ups. Just pay up and shut up. Sad. I'm just glad that Neil Armstrong isn't around to see any of this, or what's become of us, or how we've just ceded control of the internet we all but invented, because I guess we figure it's as if Russia or China or Iran will try and fill the void, right? Wrong. All wrong. I don't know how we ended up here, but I don't like what's going on here. The country that conquered the stars and ruled the World Wide Web has now entangled itself in a debt so massive we're frantically selling off anything we can as if stuff at a garage sale. But this isn't stuff. This is our soul. That's why the Russians don't take us seriously. Think about it. Would you? Well, that's what happens when the world sees you paying $71 million for a seat. They feel free to keep kicking you in the ass. With me now, Gina and Guy Benson. So I apologize for my language. You notice I apologize after the fact. But anyway, Gina, it's sad. That's it. It's just sad. What do you think?
I think this is a truly pivotal cliff moment for us, Neil. I believe we are truly this close to losing everything that America has been and America is. And I would do anything to find a way to wake up the American people before it's too late, because I really believe we're right there.
You know, but, Guy, we don't know. We're so used to this now and so used to hitching rides that we figure, well, you know, the space shuttle thing ended. We had a good run. Champs come and go. There's a new champ in town, several new champs exploring space. The Chinese are going to the moon. Ireland is now going to the moon. Iran is building satellites. So we had our fill. What do you think?
Well, these little indignities add up, Neil. And I think if you look at the polling, or if you just talk to Americans out there, you know, in everyday life, there's a real and nagging concern about American decline, whether it's a stagnant economy over many years, whether it's an outsized government that we can no longer pay for, whether it's seeming to be a government that is diminished in its ability to influence world events, or examples like this on the internet, on our space program. There is this idea that America is no longer what it used to be. And Neil, you mentioned Neil Armstrong. Well, I had the amazing honor and privilege of meeting very briefly and shaking the hand of Buzz Aldrin the other day. And I just have to wonder what is going through his head as he sees these headlines and sees a story about the United States government paying multi-million-dollar cab fares, essentially, to Russia, of all places, in the middle of this crisis we're dealing with them, to go into space because we no longer currently have the capacity to do that. That is, I think, very symbolic and upsetting for a lot of people.
It's a very tragic commentary on where we stand. But, Gina Loudon, if you think about it, what worries me more of late is what we seeded on the internet. The argument was, It's a worldwide web, Neil, and no one can own it or control it. Not that we ever tried to own it or control it, but just shepherd the process. And so by relinquishing it, we were more or less saying, let's all share and share alike, that we are citizens of the world, no longer examples or meaningful leaders in the world. We're not exceptional. The message from the top seems to be, get over this American exceptionalism. It's arrogant. It's just weird.
But see, I'm not afraid to say this, though, Neil. America is exceptional. And what is great about America is that we are good. And in the name of globalism, while we give up everything that is sovereign about America and the internet, which, by the way, we did build that, Mr. Obama.
Well, Al Gore did more to the point, but I get your point. Yeah.
But as we give these things up, Neil, we are literally risking everything for the safety of the entire world. Because America, at the drop of a hat, truly could take over the world in about a day, if you really look at it. But we never have, and the reason we never have is because we are good. When you hand off that prospect, you hand it over to people like the people who would create the situation like 9/11, Neil. This is the problem. This is what the fantasy of globalism, this utopia, is not answering.
Well, guys, we'll watch closely. I do appreciate you taking the time. We are pressed for time. But meanwhile, coming up, the interview that made our Facebook page light up, Hobby Lobby's attorney speaking to me about the high court case against Obamacare just last night. Hear the soundbite that got everybody reacting then. First, D.C. took away our light bulbs. Now going after our burgers. This shall not stand. Because apparently this has something to do with a carbon footprint. But first, I want you to